Recognized Dr. Babin.
Thank you, Dr. Chairman. Appreciate you. And thank you, two gentlemen, for being here with your expert testimony. Just wanted to ask you, Dr. Jernigan, first, what are some of the emerging technologies and practices being developed to identify different pathogens, targets, and modernize the delivery of vaccines? And pardon me if you've already answered questions like this, but I have a markup on a different floor in this same building, so I just came in. I'm a dentist, and one of my colleagues down here asked me if there were vaccines to eliminate cavities, and that would I be against those. He said that in jest, of course, but we encourage Halloween and things like that for, okay.
Yeah, so with regard to the diagnostics, I'm not going to address the cavity issue, but in terms of diagnostics, so CDC currently maintains a thing called the International Reagent Resource, which is an online storefront that all of the public health departments in the United States and 143 laboratories around the globe are able to go on and order standard reagents that CDC makes so that we know that the globe is actually doing the same kind of testing for influenza so that we can use that information quickly. That uses a process called PCR, or polymerase chain reaction, which is a common way. We're currently updating that to get to some newer kinds of PCR devices. But what's really been game-changing is the ability of genomic sequencing.
Right.
And so CDC has established 3 national influenza reference centers at 3 public health labs in the United States where they do all of that genomic testing so that we can pick up emerging antiviral resistance, viruses that might be a pandemic virus that's emerging, those kinds of things so that we can act more quickly.
Thank you very much. That's very fascinating. And what are the main scientific and technological hurdles that stand in the way of the development of a universal influenza vaccine? I caught the tail end of somebody's question, had a similar one like that. And how are you working to overcome these? Dr. Jernigan, if you would. I'm going to ask him one here in just a second.
Well, certainly, I'll let Dr. Fauci talk about all the various different hurdles that are out there. For us, the influenza virus has been able to evade human immunity forever. And so you can get influenza every year. So the task we have at hand is a very difficult one in that the virus itself the body itself is not able to have long-lasting immunity. So we're trying to find something that the body itself is not very good at.
All right, and Dr. Fauci, if you would just go ahead and elaborate on that as well then.
Yeah, well, there's one hurdle that I think is really a serious hurdle. Even if we get a universal vaccine that would induce a response against a wide array of influenzas, and that is a phenomenon that's really very interesting. It's called imprinting, and what it is that your body tends to make a response against the first influenza or the first antigen that it was exposed to when you were a youngster, so that even later on in life, when you get exposed to that organism, that microorganism again, from an evolutionary standpoint, that was a good thing because that means that your immune system is primed so that if you see that microbe again, you'll make a really good response. That's great for something like measles or mumps or rubella, which doesn't change. It stays the same. With influenza, it works against you. Yeah. So that what you will do is that if the first, I'm an H1N1 person in the sense that I was born at a time when H1N1 was around. So my immune system is primed to make a response against H1N1. So if I get exposed to an H3N2 or even get vaccinated with that, even though I'll make a reasonable response, my body will revert to wanting to make a response to H1N1. It's referred to sometimes as original antigenic sin. So the real problem is how do you get around that so that you can vaccinate somebody and overcome that tendency to make a response against something that you were originally exposed to. That's going to be an important obstacle.
Well, and that was the question I was saving for you, and you've actually mostly answered it because this is why measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines have a 97% effectiveness, where influenza is only, what is it, 10 10%.
No,
up
no,
to
that
60?
was a very bad year.
Up to 60% though, right? 10 to 60.
40 to 60% is
Yeah.
what it is, yeah.
So that's the biggest hurdle we have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head,
All right.
exactly.
Thank you very much, and I yield back.